The Nativity-Star-Wars. It is the darkest day and the longest night of the year, the winter solstice. The moon is waning, but still beacon bright. I'm driving down a dirt road, squinting into the trees, looking for a sheep farm. Earlier today, I received a message from Shepherd's Cross, an agricultural education facility in the town that neighbors mine. Tonight is their annual live nativity, a tableau vivant of the birth of Christ. I'm interested in this kind of thing because I'm curious about all the ways that human beings embody fantasy stories. I'm not calling the Christian story a fantasy at its core. I'm simply saying that it contains supernatural characters and otherworldly events, as fantastic tales always do. In my mind, Christianity bears a resemblance to every form of imaginative storytelling there is. It's a myth in the sense that it deals with divine interaction with mortals and provides a moral and psychological structure to reality. It's even fairy tale-like, in that biblical narratives often begin with lines like, "There was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish. He had a son whose name was Saul, a handsome young man. There was not a man among the people more handsome than he. He stood head and shoulders above everyone else." As with fairy tales, I've noticed that biblical stories often contain plot points clustered in groups of 3, and the characters, always in quest of something, must encounter magical help. Here's that same story of the dashing Saul. Now the donkeys of Kish, Saul's father, had strayed. So Kish said to his son Saul, "Take one of the boys with you and go look for the donkeys." He passed through the hill country of Ephraim and passed through the land of Shalisha, but they did not find them. And they passed through the land of Shalem, but they were not there. Then he passed through the land of Benjamin, but they did not find them. When they came to the land of Zuph, Saul said to the boy who was with him, "Let us turn back, or my father will stop worrying about the donkeys and worry about us." But he said to him, "There's a man of God in this town. He's a man held in honor. Whatever he says always comes true. Let us go there now. Perhaps he can tell us about the journey on which we have set out." In the Bible, magic comes from God, and that's just fine with me. A lot of people believe God to be tangible to our reality, somewhere just beyond what can be plainly seen, but not totally beyond what can be physically felt. I have no problem with that. As someone who wants to live in a fantasy world, but who would prefer that fantasy be as real as the nose on my face, I get it. The Christ story is also an epic. It's long, poetry-laden, and perilous. It's very close kin, a great-great-great-grandparent to all the popular genre fiction we know and love. You've seen all those adventure stories that are set in medieval times. The Bible does not disappoint. It's replete with chainmail-wearing warriors, armor-bearers, powerful queens, humble servant girls, good men, and terrible men. It's palace intrigue, without which we would have no Game of Thrones. And most tantalizing for me, Christianity is also a legend, in that the central figure is thought to have been a real person. If I understand correctly, there's little dispute among scholars regarding that. Jesus from Nazareth was a man of recorded history. He had a first breath and a last. He did Indeed, many generations ago, gaze upward at the stars. And his biography, if I may, is the tallest of tales. And I mean that with great reverence. How I long to be as native to enchanted worlds as he. He lived a life forerun by prophecy. Think Harry Potter. His journey was marked by both ethereal beauty and heavy burden. Think Frodo. And he was succeeded by revolutionary fame and glory. Think, like Paul Bunyan. Paul Bunyan. No way, man. Like none other. 2 millennia have passed, and billions of people still gather around, singing passionate songs that recount the wondrous deeds and laud the unparalleled character of Jesus, the man with the infinitely good heart, the peaceful warrior, the lover, the brother, the friend. The one who went to the ends of the earth for you, who secured your freedom in this and every life. The one of exquisite strength who loves you. The one whose wisdom never fails to comfort you. The one whose power you trust entirely. The worthiest of kings, the humblest of kings. The one who was born in the stables down this road somewhere. I know I'm close. As I said, I'm curious about all the ways that human beings embody fantasy stories. The night is clear and not too cold. I think this place, Shepherd's Cross, has a better chance than anyone to make a live nativity sincerely compelling. I've seen the farm in summertime, lovely green rolling hills. The sheep and goats graze and rest under the dome of the sky. I'm guessing the actors, or models, will be believably clothed as well, since the facility houses a museum of authentic shepherd's garb from around the world. They won't likely have a living baby, but it would be amazing if they did. I'd love to hear a cooing infant melody rising to mingle with the silvery clouds. I'm very excited. I'm expecting that this experience will hold one of those holy grail moments of which I've begun to hunt. I can almost feel it already. The chatter in my mind ceases as the luminous quiet of the evening settles over me. In the stillness, I hear only those simple clicks, scrapes, tickles, and shuffles of woolly beasts, sniffing, stretching, and yawning. The stench of manure and the scent of hay carries over the ever-gentle breeze, and I look out upon the scene. A modest wooden shed sits nestled in the dale, as natural to the landscape as the stars tossed out above. It's far off, but inside I see a group of figures that cut such a lovely shape. I can tell by the way they draw in together. They're a family. I walk closer to see their faces. Standing tallest is a dark-haired man, rugged but with a kind jaw. At his side, there's a young woman. She's plain but wearing the most beautiful expression. It's a look of tenderness, reverence, and curious fear. They're both looking down at something, her eyes and his, both fixed on this wee bundle of cloth, cradled in a feeding trough filled with hay, a little pearl of life. Flanking this treasured centerpiece to the right are the herdsmen with their shepherd's hooks silhouetted by the moonlight. And to the left are the exotic figures, the magicians, the seers. They kneel, humbly offering gifts from distant lands. And this is how we remember it, as well appointed and timeless as Van Gogh's Starry Night. And this time, I'm there too. I'm looking on unnoticed. I meditate on the scene until it hits me how exceedingly crazy it is, how phenomenally unlikely, how astronomically odd, imaginative, and strange. It's perfectly unbelievable. Yet, shockingly, it endures. As the story goes, the highest of all the gods, the king of the gods, the father of universes, the artisan and author of everything we know and think we know, decided one day to sail across the veil of time and space, to cross the Bifrost Bridge, to beam himself down. He left the shores of paradise, of Asgard, Olympia, Shangri-La, Nirvana, and voyaged to a time long ago in a galaxy far, far away. There, in the unincorporated outer darkness, where scarcely populated star systems do nothing but silently expand, is a lonely outpost, a little garden planet, majestic and restless, a rare vivarium of living things, singular and beguiling. Feathers, fins, scales, beaks, trunks, hoofs, and fangs. Funky waterlings and monsters of the deep. Cuddly puffballs and pad-footed friends. There are serene and lovely corners of this world, to be sure. There are moments of unsurpassed goodness, glimpses of innocence, and almost holy virtue. But, oh, what a rough and rowdy place, all in all. Every solemn landmass, which was conquered by the race of men, became a theater of war. Now these rough-hewn bluffs, gold-swept valleys, sparkling rivers, and violet skies are the playground of mercenaries and scoundrels. How vulnerable are the hearts of men to disfigurement? How sensitive are their minds to fear? A formidable darkness always seems to crop up like weeds inside them. It masquerades as nothing, of course, but when it takes hold, it spoils every beautiful thing they know. Thus, all who live here, even those who try to resist the darkness, must sometimes dine on corruption and deceit. This precious garden planet, now grim and dangerous, and clutched in a cacophony of violence, it floats in cosmic silence, a lost blue marble abode. Now, what matter brings the highest ranking deity to a far-flung planet such as that? What business could the Father of Universes possibly have on a disregarded little globe in the podunk of the firmament? Well, the word is he loves someone here. Someone who's in trouble. It's a rescue mission. And it's apparently something only he can do. So he submitted himself to the inter-realm transport of his own design. He shed his grand ethereal mystery and yielded to the inroads of biological genius, thereby committing himself to the material substrates of creaturehood. He was knitted together in his mother's womb and arrived here in some obscure barn on some dark continent. He's now waking to the braying of livestock. All around, scratchy, pungent straw makes his soft flesh prickle. He's as tiny, vulnerable, and helpless as any infant ever was, but he made it. What a marvelous thing to behold in such an unassuming structure under the moon. How I want to discover him the way Elliot discovered E.T. in the tool shed in the backyard. He was so dumbfounded by what he saw that he dropped the pizza in the grass. The thing that mattered most just moments ago doesn't matter anymore, because he's about to go on the most unforgettable journey.